Samson.
Yes.
Samson, I will not pretend to be a legal practitioner. My knowledge of the law is essentially jurisprudential. And I know that in every society, laws are made not in the belief that everybody will obey the law, but in the hope that very few people will breach the law so that we can manage the legal behavior of people. Secondly, laws are made and principles are applied in a manner that should be predictable from circumstance to circumstance, so that potential litigants will know when their behavior will infringe the law and the consequences. The Supreme Court has, over the past years, especially under the Akufo-Addo administration, behaved in a manner as if it is a supranational, supra-constitutional body that can interfere in every act of parliament. Athena Markin's writ did not show any legal cause for interpretation. All it showed was the consequences of the act of 12 members of parliament, that they will be deprived of their membership and so on and so on. Those are not legal matters. They are the consequences of their actions under a constitutional provision that is as clear, does not require interpretation. The Supreme Court, can it tell us how come a purely political issue get the garb of constitutional issue for interpretation? Interpretation against who? The Speaker applied the law as it is stated in Article 97(1)(gh). Automatic application. The consequences you face is the result of the constitutional provision, not the Speaker's ruling. So why is the Supreme Court acting as a fit columnist for the NPP party? Every matter that the NPP loses in Parliament, it quickly goes to the Supreme Court because it knows that it's a packed court where decisions will be in its favor. This is not the route to the proper democratic governance of our country.
Is that a fair comment?
Yes, it is a fair comment. Because the facts are clear. Is it a fact that these 4 MPs have breached Article 97(1)(gh)? Yes.
The court is yet to decide that.
That is not an interpretive matter. You only interpret where there is a dispute, where there's ambiguity. The Constitution itself makes it clear. So what are you going to interpret? Are you going to interpret when the effects of that provision should take effect? Or are you going to interpret on the basis that their interests are hurt? They should have known that their interests will be hurt. It's a question of their right to be presented. Go to the High Court.
Hello, Dr. Aidoo?
Samson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. But don't you find, for example, the preliminary objection, the manner in which they dismissed it, that it is useful? Otherwise, perhaps there will be a time that everybody will be painted with the brush of NPP or NDC and nobody can do any work at the Supreme Court?
You are talking about the
request
empaneling of
exactly.
Justice Gao.
Yes.
Well, the empaneling of Justice Gao, to me, does not have a stand in equity. Because if he has a vested interest, he should have recused himself. But the NDC caucus in Parliament also bear complicity, because you knew the political colors of these people and you approved them in Parliament, including the Chief Justice herself. You raise questions and then you go to the floor and then approve them. So you are also a court against you.
But yes, you began with a caveat that you are no lawyer, but of course, you are deeply philosophical and you, as you said, you appreciate jurisprudential matters. On the substance of the decision of the court, where they say, you know, their powers are being challenged as to how to issue an interim order, the law says it's for 10 days, but we ignore the fact that they can come under Article 2 and do beyond that. And they actually give a good reason and say, after we issued that order, we asked the parties to file their statements within 7 days. The expectation was that if they had complied, we would be getting towards resolving the matter quickly. So 10 days would have been of no moment.
First,
they say these
in
MPs,
a political dispute.
They say these MPs should not be, their constituents should not be denied representation for the next 2 months that Parliament has. Don't you find some good reason and logic in how they come to this?
Samson, where is the reasoning when the Supreme Court is behaving like a topsy-turvy? What happened to the constituents in Aspen North regarding Jachikwesin's case? Weren't they also deprived of representation? What about South, the constituents, the thousands of people in the South who have been denied representation for 4 years? The Supreme Court is not predictable in its application of the law. And I said that does not help our democratic process. Today you stand here, you contradict yourself. Tomorrow you stand there, contradict yourself. Did we set up a supra-constitutional body to terrorize us or to guide our constitutional behavior? It's flip-flopping all the time. The Supreme Court is flip-flopping.
So let's move to Parliament. The Speaker, can you predict his next move? Because there's suggestion that yes, he may have summoned a recall. The NPP cannot marshal half of the members of Parliament to be able to take a decision if they don't have the NDC joining them. So either party cannot do this. So we are likely to see a situation where people appear for the recall and he does what he has done previously.
In which case, what is the use of the Supreme Court's ruling? You call Parliament. It's not only the Speaker involved, the NDC too is involved. They will also make sure that you don't get the quorum for decision taking, a stalemate. What Afenia Markin and the Supreme Court should know is that political matters can be negotiated, not legislated, not subject to constitutional interpretation, where there is no grounds for constitutional interpretation. Afenia Markin can still get government business going if he comes down from his high horse. So you sit in the minority side, so what? You negotiate for government business to continue. But now you create a situation, an antagonistic situation, where the NDC too says that we will deny you the quorum to take decisions. Then where does it stand? Where does the whole matter stand?
What ought to be done in the name of peace and progress as we go into the elections and we want to see that things are peacefully done? What ought to be done?
The NPP caucus must come down from their high horse and negotiate with the NDC caucus.
Okay.
Take the Supreme Court out of it. It is interfering. It is interfering negatively.
Okay.